Welcome back yet again. When MTG Foundations dropped, it was massive. Not just for one set, but did you know it was almost like having 3 sets jammed into one? That's a big set. So that would mean a big shakeup in the standard metagame, right? Well, that is what we're about to dive into. MTG Foundations Standard in an outline format from big picture to small picture. The overall to what worked for me from the ladder to the metagame challenge perspectives, plus 2 weeks of data. And here we go. First, this standard format is gasoline. Virtually every macro type, aggro, midrange, control, combo, ramp, tempo, etc., has some sort of representation in this format. In other words, what I clamored about in other older formats about having such representation, we have in standard today. Moreover, virtually all decks' win rates are stable, meaning there is not one deck that is far and away the best, like say Pioneer with 3 decks being top tier, and the rest are just wishing they had the same card quality. Standard really is that format today, and all of the decisions from being a 3-year format to Foundations being a utility set for 5 years has gotten Standard to the place it is today. One of the best constructed formats right now, and outside of needing Shieldrids in most decks, your cost is also considerably cheaper. What does the format look like now given the new information? Let's have a look. Overall, the format, as stated before, has representation from each macro type. However, one thing that stands out above the rest is how much you must respect the red aggro decks, namely mono red aggro. Essentially, by respect, you cannot be light on removal or interaction. The deck has so much reach that you have to respect it. In other words, if your deck is not consistently interacting with opponents on the first 3 turns of the game, your deck is not top tier material. You almost are pre-boarded for them in game 1 while transforming your game plans post-board against everything else. That's the good news, is most decks have a way to do this, especially when control decks are lacking, which segues nice into the next point. Control has some issues. 2024-2025 Magic is all about accruing multitudes of card advantage in multiple spots from singular cards and daring you to not have the answer. Control really doesn't have that right now, sans maybe mono white token control, but most would classify that as a mid-range deck more than a control deck depending on who you ask. I personally classify it as a control deck, so there's that. Classical control decks of using counterspells and conventional draw spells to accrue card advantage with a big threat to end games quickly is so 5 years or more ago. That is not to say it doesn't exist, but that it's very hard to do in a format where the permanents are so good. Basically, once Farewell left the format, Control's big heavy-hitting reset button left with it. So, what does the format look like now? Aggro. Aggressive strategies are defined by these core cards from the red aggro decks: Heartfire Hero, Monastery Swiftspear, Emberheart Challenger, Screaming Nemesis, Manifold Mouse, Slick Shot Show Off, and Monstrous Rage. Beyond that is where you get the deviation, which is divided into mostly 3 decks: Gruul Prowess, Boros Aggro / Burn, and Mono Red Aggro. No, not red deck wins, because that specific deck was different in its approach, and if you want to know the difference, leave a comment and I will describe it. Happy hunting. While Gruul Prowess has been around with the splash of Questing Druid, Snakeskin Veil, and sideboard options, Mono Red has taken the spot of the best aggressive strategy right now in my opinion. Yeah, I know Boros Burn / Aggro exists too, and if you like Burn, you could still play it, but the mana is slightly worse with not wanting to play any tap lands, and also this piece of shit. You do not get much for sideboard slots, although Authority of the Councils could be some spice against the mirror, and most of your burn, such as Bolt Wave or Boros Charm, cannot be pointed at anything but creatures. Mono Red basically has the best of both worlds, the most efficient mana base, similar burn spells, especially utilizing new burn card Burst Lightning for better reach, while getting to run a clean list of 4-ups to maximize output without suffering to card choices. Your sideboard cards are mostly good efficient removal for targeted matchups, and some threats for the big creature matchups like demons. The only real complaint I have about this deck is Earthrise Forge, as I think this card is virtually just an unplayable Magic card now. Possibly hyperbolic, however, it is probably a necessary evil, as Red's 3-drop slot falls off a cliff in quality after Nemesis and Forge. Forge really is one of the only red threats that's sticky, not great at it, but it is the best we have. Sure, it can run away with games in some instances, but generally it takes 3 to 4 turns to get the tokens to be any type of threat, and most decks can handily block the tokens just fine. With the advent of authority from white, artifact removal from red or green, black having a lot of ways to gain life block and bring in more duresses to take your reach, we just don't have anything better than Forge, which is probably fine. At least it dodges Paw Patch formation and Get Lost. Of course, there are other aggressive strategies out there, such as Convoke or enchantments, but in this area, red aggro is just above the rest here. Midrange. If you are a mid-range enthusiast, you have more choices than at a Baskin-Robbins. Name a color combination, I'm sure there's a deck with your name on it, and I love me some mid-range. The issue? After 2 weeks, the consensus really has no idea what the best way to build their decks are, but the cores are solidified. For example, should Golgari run Llanowar Elf or not? Should they build lower to the ground or try to be a bit bigger and go over the top the smaller mid-range decks? Those types of questions have not been answered yet, and I'm pretty sure we will have that answer after another week or so. Whatever your choice, here is what building with Llanowar Elves looks like. From a 10k RCQ, a bit less 2-drops such as No Broncos, and here is another top 8 list from the same tournament without Llanowar Elves. More stock, but having main deck Shieldrids. We just don't know yet. My bet though is keeping your elves at home, because decks are packing so much 1-mana interaction the variance might be too high. I will say at least you have choices, and the differences in gameplay will have players playing both strats to whichever they like in practice. Dimir midrange has been around for a long time, and has consistently kept putting up stable results in not just MTGO leagues, but high-level events all the way up to the World Championships, and some recent big RCQ events. The deck has everything. The deck has the best draw spell in Enduring Curiosity, scaling 1-drops like Siren, the best evasive and annoying 2-drops like Fairy Mastermind, Drowner, and Deep Cavern Bat. Beastbinder was a flash in the pan for a bit, but I think it fell out of flavor pretty quickly. Unsure as to why, honestly, because the creature does everything you want and is unblockable. Most have Unstoppable Slasher as the 3-drop of choice over Preacher, but honestly you can start either, as exile removal is everywhere, and Preacher I have found is a little bit more than serviceable at blocking the red creatures than, say, Slasher. You will see Kaitos running around, just be prepared for that. I've been using some amount of Shieldred's Edicts in my decks, which I think people kind of forgot about. You only need 1 or 2 as a catch-all. It'll be worth it later, trust me. Sideboards are all over the place, but just ensure you have enough respect for the aggressive strats. Your main plan of card advantage will do the job against anyone. This is why you see a lot of lists all over MTG Goldfish with upwards of more than 5 or 6 cards against the aggro matchup, because this is how much you need. Most have decided to cut most of the sweepers, which I agree with. Sweepers are in a weird spot these days. They're good, but they end up not being the end-all be-all like they were 6 to 9 months ago with the likes of Sunfall and Deadly Cover-Up. Decks are just so much more resilient than they used to be and have so much reach. Tapping out on 4 or 5 mana can almost end you. For example, red aggro can follow up a sweeper with offspringing a Manifold Mouse, and now they're completely rebuilt. I have basically stopped playing sweepers altogether, and even if I do play them, I'm on like 1 Pyroclasm and 1 Brotherhood's End in red to steal the play back, but that's really it. There are other mid-range decks that are slightly lower, but are still playable, such as Orzhov, Azorius Temple, Mono Black, and many more. This video can go on another 30 minutes just talking about all the mid-range possibilities, and if you want more of a discussion, my Discord link is in the description below. Basically, the core of the black mid-range decks are thus: play 3 to 4 cutdowns, 4 go for the throats, 2 to 4 duress main with 1 to 2 anoint with affliction, and decide your 3-drop of choice, Slasher or Preacher, then fill out from there. This is how it goes for all the mid-range decks. Can you interact with your opponent on turn 1 through 4? or do something every turn with possible double spell on as early as turn 2 due to playing a tap land on turn 1. That is how intricate building your non-aggro deck have become now. Control. I am not a resident control player anymore, but I do know about the control decks from playing against them a lot. Ones I want to highlight are mono white token control, domain, and blue black demons. If you have others, put them in the comments below. I did play against a blue-red control list in the metagame challenge that was sweet. Felt more like Tempo than control, but had Chandra Beacon of Hope in there. Very interesting. Okay, mono white. The deck has gone through some upgraded maintenance since Foundations. At least the lists coming out, such as this one, are mostly clean and have direction. Caretaker's talent is still a force to be reckoned with. Adding Enduring Innocence acts as talent 5 through 8. You have all the card advantage you need, coupled with some of the most flexible removal in Lay Down Arms, Get Lost, and Soul Partition. You got basically a control deck that makes even Teferi jealous. Authority out of the board gives you a way to stop creatures in their tracks, and the best way to handle permanents white can buy with Exercise and Temporary Lockdown. I am told mono white has good matchups against both red aggro and the mid-range decks, which would make it the best deck in the format if that's the case. However, seeing how fast red aggro is and the flexible removal and interaction Golgari has, I'm still skeptical. Make no mistake, mono white has been around for a bit and has been consistently putting up respectable results, and just might be the right answer for the current metagame as it is right now. Dimir Demons, on the other hand, is the next deck, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it still is around, even if it's at a small percentage. But the diehards love their control decks, and Dimir is a different alternative to other control-esque decks in the format. My experience on playing against demons is it is still as annoying as it is to play against, because of how fast they can end the game from nothing just by playing Excruciator and untap and kill you with either with it or with Jace or Reef. There have been some innovations such as cutting Archfiend and the 2-drops and just going a full control direction, having the combo as their kill condition outright. And we will see if that is the staple moving forward, which has shown promise, but too small of a sample size to make any determination as of yet. Domain is still around and has basically been split up into multiple decks. The main highlight is the evolution of it by taking inspiration from the Pioneer list and running Zers and the Overlords. No Atraxa, nothing else. Still putting up results in challenges and RCQs, but still not getting into the top spots as often as they were 6 months ago or so ago. There are still some innovations, but I think once the next set comes out and we get more untapped lands like the enemy Verge lands, will we get to see what control could really do with better mana bases. Combo. The Temur Otters deck is the most underrated deck and is the most understood as the combo deck of the format. The catch? It is incredibly difficult to pilot. For the combo enthusiasts, this is the deck for you. If you want to learn to play it, there are guides out there for you. Some are free, some are not. See the description below for more. I have not personally taken on the incredible challenge, tall task of piloting this monstrosity. However, I know the deck is incredibly good in the right hands. See MTGO Grinder Sifsock results for more. As a result, the deck isn't very popular due to how difficult it is to pilot, but basically how the combo operates is with Valley Floodcaller, Storm Chaser's Talent, and Enduring Vitality. You cast a bunch of cheap spells, give creatures haste with Song or Bitter Reunion, or just attack for the win. That is a very rudimentary explanation of how the combo operates, but it is quick and has incredible resilience in the cards, like this town ain't big enough due to how flexible it is. Innovations are everywhere, but are mostly in the development stages, with some reanimator decks like Red Black and Esper trying to put Atraxas and Valgavoths into play early. Tested these and concluded they are highly inconsistent, but are very good against the aggro decks and small mid-range decks. Control and highly interactive decks, not so much. Seen some Demonic Pact combo decks running around, and they showed some promise, but are still too early to tell, though the innovations like adding Green's Gambit, I'm here to tell you, was a flash in the pan, and that card is just not very good, especially against Golgari, as they have one card named Mosswood Dread Knight that completely negates all of the effects of Greed's Gambit, and you can't get rid of it. So with all that being said, anything personally interesting to note? Actually, yes. Last week and weekend, I played a lot of decks from all ranges. Demonic Pact, many Reanimator Zombify decks, ramp strategies, mid-range, etc. You name it, I tried it or faced it. While I could not put all of my favorites on here, which were decks such as Demonic Pact or Linda Midrange, but I did take one of the top performers, which was also one of my favorites, and that is Mono Black Combo. While I did not hit the magical 7 win in a row on the metagame challenge, sporting an overall win rate of over 83% in the challenge, it just kept beating any deck with creatures. The main draw to this deck is the combo of Bloodthirsty Conqueror and Enduring Tenacity, where if you ever trigger one, it triggers the other, and it continues until the game ends. So literally Splinter Twin, literally Hogan, Kappa. The rest is filled with the best black spells in the format in Duress, Cut Down, Preacher, etc. Surprisingly, Gatekeeper of Malakir was better than expected. A lot of the reprints were like this, where they seem better their second go around, and Gatekeeper fits that bill as well. Fountain Ports were fun until I figured out Soulstorm Sanctuary is a demon by Changeling, and cut an Anoint for a Shieldred's Edict to round out the package as the updates for the deck. The sideboard is a work in progress, but the idea of flipping into a mid-range control matchup is in there. If you want to see gameplay on the deck live, Twitch link is below. If you made it this far, this is one of the longest videos I've done that is edited, and I appreciate all of those that have made it this far. I could have gone on for another half hour on more decks in the format, because that is just how awesome this standard format has been, and there's so much unexplored. But with all that, the Twitch link and other socials are in the description below for that. This kind of content and more will continue to flow while trying to compete in higher level formats like the Qualifier Weekend, RCQs, and even in paper events. This standard format has been absolute gasoline, and you should play it, and I encourage everybody to spread the word as well. It is one of the best formats currently, and since it is the premier format for RCQs for the foreseeable future, I will continue to play standard and make content on it. Thanks again, and see you in the next video.